The story of this movie is war between red and black ants. This war begins with a tofu thrown by humans. The story begins with a couple which was celebrating holidays in the forest. Suddenly the wife begins to suffer delivery. The husband quickly crises the goods and takes the car away. Meanwhile, countless pests appear flying in the depth of the forest, as if they're moving cars on a highway. A small ladybug mistake drops into a drain and its wings break down. She barely stands out and finds a place to avoid rain under a tree. The next morning when she wakes up, she discovers she's inside a tofu compartment. There were many pests busy taking food drinking stuff. She was sitting on the small ladybug compartment and looks at two stinky insects picking up a Maki's box. A while later, they think Maki's is not of a job and throw it off. Then a small ant's piece looks at that tofu cans in search of food. His captain peeps inside and sees that the entire box is filled with sweet pieces. He immediately orders, "Leave these useless fruits and take it the whole box. These toffees will last us several years." The box on the captain's order gradually slipping. Ants didn't know that Ladybug was inside the same too. They cross hills ranging the cans, lengthen rivers. The captain says, push over. On the way, some toffs fall off when pushing on push. They all together start filling them back into the cans. Then they look ladybugs. Suddenly, a green-backed hunter comes in worm, and everyone is afraid. Then the ladybug enters the compartment and pulls out scary voice and wander that hunter. The captain is very grateful and says, "Let's make you guests in our ant state." On the way, while going through a valley, a slice of red ants stops the way. They say, "You have told to pass through here." But red ants think, "That good thing, just one," and they decide to steal the whole box. Black ants box lift up the box and run down the hill. The red ants sit in a soda carton and roll back. Both teams slip on the slope, then fall into the river. There is a tremendous rafting-like battle in the river. The ladybug falls into the water, and a small fish comes to swallow him. But black ants hold hands together and save him by pulling up. They go further down from the waterfall. Black ants leave the box, and the tofu pieces begin to run away. The last ant was so hard to pick up 6 toffees together, because he probably had to fill children's fees. Crossing the road comes the car. Red ants run away by fear, but black ants move forward from courage and go beyond safe. They reach black ant state. The king is very happy and gives them lots of green granules in reward, from which they could take government rations. But the captain of the red ants steeply chasing him, he returns back to his state to all the red queen. The queen immediately calls her huge army. The army of the red ants pulls in the Josh to the state of black ants. The entire scene was extremely gorgeous, like preparing for a huge war. Both the armies come face to face. Red ants were ready with sling and pesticide. The first attack on the commander's order begins. Stone and dead flies are stored towards the black ant fort. The fort begins to move, the walls shatter. Then red ants throw a toothpick box, which falls like rainy arrows from the sky. Fortunately, black ants were northern. They mostly avoided attacks. Now black ants are counter-troubled. They drop their cotton swabs down the fort. Red ants run around here. Then black ants start to drop their capsules shells down like a cannon, from which many red ants are crushed. In response, red ants throw a metal ball, which distinguishes the fort directly. The Black Queen immediately calls an emergency meeting. A general suggests, "We can also attack by missile." They go to warehouse and find Makis and crackings. At this time, the army of the red ants was attacking the door of the fort, raising the fruit of a huge cedar. On the other hand, dozens of black ants took firemen and climbed the fort walls. They were fireworks as huge as missiles. Black ants began to target and attack the red ants' army. A small ant opened the Maki's box by putting full strength, but there was only one arm of the inside. He read the instructions written on the Maki's compartment, tried several times, and finally managed to burn Maki's. Among the hopeless eyes of all, they burned a easy touching rocket. The rocket flew with a vigorous explosion. The way changed several times, revolving 3 times in the air, and went straight between the red ants' army. Horrible explosion, and a huge portion of the red ants was destroyed throughout the moment. When black ants wanted to burn the second rocket, Maki's had quenched. Now without fire, no matter as many rockets, there was no use. The red ants' army man saw all this and ordered their soldiers to begin the attack again. The consecutive attack began with various weapons. It seemed like the fort of black ants would collapse soon. In this same Alfie, a small ladybug recalled that there is probably a Maki's left in the forest right now. After a little conversation, black ants took a note and converted him into Paper's airplane. The ladybug sat down on it. Red ants started spraying pesticide on it, but she skillfully survived him. With the help of Paper airplane, she successfully managed to fly. The commander of the black ants saw his flight till far, and the mind prayed that he returned, because now the fate of the entire state was in the hands of the same. Ladybug River's crossing. Eating a little things finally reached its goal. There he saw that a small spider was going home with a Makis. She walked behind him and reached the spider's house, made from a small toy house. Then suddenly a frog took out his tongue and caught the ladybug, but also mistakenly dropped the spider's house, leaving the frog crushed and killed. Ladybug went unconscious and went into a dream where she saw her family playing with them happy. When she got up, found that the spider had saved her life and fed her delicious food. After eating food, his strength returned. She told the spider that she came to take the Makis and raising the Makis without time and flying again. On the way, he saw some flies were troubling a partner. She immediately went forward and said, "Leave him." 5 flies started to follow him, and an exciting battle began to occur in the air. She was flying from absolutely above the road, like a battle plane. Then there came a car on the road. Ladybug avoided him with wonderful skills, but 5 flies collided with the car's headlight. The winning Ladybug reaches her partner back, singing happily. He said, "Now I'm going to save the ant state. Waiting for me until I return, I'll marry you." He took the Makis and flew again. Meanwhile, the war between red and black ants continued. The black ant stronghold was almost completely destroyed. Then the Ladybug returned with Makis. Black ants were extremely grateful and immediately set fire to all rockets. Red ants saw this scene and were shocked by seeing it. Hundreds of firemen landed in the sky, changing direction like missiles who could not stop. The red ant army went down. Huge losses were caused, and eventually they retreated. The war went one day and one night, and eventually the state of the black ants became peaceful again. However, burning fire led to fire in the forest, but humans quenched it in time. Now the ant's house was completely destroyed. Ladybug returned to his house, married his boyfriend, and had children. Everyone began to be happy. The ants also began to rebuild their new homes, and the friendship of Ladybug and ants remained forever. If you like this video, also like and subscribe channel.